Hello everyone. I'll be giving a breakdown of the 2020 election as it stands today. This will come in 4 videos. The first video will be a pollster review, which will be more of a reflection of what happened in 2016 and how that will relate to today. I will also be making a video of the Democratic path to victory in 2020 and obviously then a path for the Republicans, aka Donald Trump, to win. And the fourth video will be my actual predictions. In this video, I will be reviewing what the pollsters were saying in 2016, and I will relate that to the 2020 election. I will be looking at states and how they finished in 2016, and I'll talk about the issues with pollstering and how that will impact the 2020 election. First, I'll be showing the different polls, the different maps for 2020 as they stand right now. This is the 2020 consensus, obviously. This one, the Sabados crystal ball. Don't know if I pronounced that right, but it doesn't matter. This, I think, is fairly accurate. It's going to be the closest. I'll primarily be working from this one. I just did this to keep track of the states I wanted to talk about. As we go along, I'll check them off. And we will primarily be using this map to discuss what happened in 2016 because it has a very good breakdown. So we'll first start with Arizona. So you look at it a little bit more in depth and you find that Donald Trump won by 3.5 points. And the big part about this is that you have someone like Gary Johnson who's running a Libertarian. You also had McMullen, who ran as an alternate for the Republican Party. And I'll be looking at this as a two-person race primarily. When you look at Arizona, you can clearly see that if Gary Johnson wasn't running, Donald Trump would have gotten significantly more points. And I'm going to be doing this because I see Republicans being more favorable to Donald Trump than they did even before the election. When Donald Trump first came out as a candidate, people were skeptical of him, did not like him, were planning on voting for him, and I think that's changed dramatically. I feel most Republicans are 100% satisfied with what he's been doing, and I think that means that a lot of votes that went to third-party candidates are going to be going to him. Unless, obviously, it's something like the Green Party that would obviously go to the Democratic Party. Next, we'll talk about Nevada. Nevada is one of those states where Hillary Clinton won because of how many votes Gary Johnson got. I'd still say it's a little bit more Democrat leaning, but you can't neglect this, where if Donald Trump got Gary Johnson's votes, he would have been over. Mexico's interesting. I think this is decently safe for Democrats, but how could someone not look at something like that? Gary Johnson got 9.3% of the votes, which is so crazy. So, in the 2020 election, I think Donald Trump will do better in New Mexico, but it will ultimately remain a Democrat state. So Colorado, I believe, is on the safer side for Democrats because even with all of Gary Johnson's points, Donald Trump would just barely be there. So I think this is safe for Democrats. I don't like to do this because I feel that you should dive into as many results and polls as you can, but I just can't see Texas ever going to the Democrats. And if you do in the 2020 election, I can guarantee that the Democrats are going to win the election. There's just no way Republicans can lose Texas and still win. So we're not even going to discuss it. The way Nebraska is broken down is you get 2 electoral votes for population, and you get 1 vote for each district you win. So as you can see that this is the breakdown of the districts. Once again, you see a third-party candidate taking a lot of votes away from the Republican Party. But overall, I just don't see Nebraska flipping. It's pretty solid. So this one was significantly close for the 2 electoral votes, once again meaning population. And then it's broken into 2 districts. This one and this one. And so, I mean, I just don't see this district going back to Democrats. Donald Trump did really well there. And obviously, the district with Portland is safe to go to Democrats. Now, this was shocking for a lot of people. They completely believe that Hillary is going to sweep it without a chance for Donald Trump to win it. So, I mean, once again, you look at Gary Johnson taking 4.1% away. Even if he runs again, like I said, I feel that most people trust Donald Trump. More people trust Donald Trump now than before, so he could flip. I just kind of wanted to go over Georgia quickly. I mean, even with these Democrat-leaning areas, Donald Trump still had okay numbers, and he won by more than 5 points. Gary Johnson took 3. I mean, I would say it's a safe Republican state. So Hillary Clinton won by a pretty good margin. I just kind of wanted to mention it briefly. It was 5.4 points. I believe it will stay Democrat. It's pretty safely Democrat. I just wanted to bring it up because with Gary Johnson and Evan McMullen's points, it would be a lot closer than I believe people would make it out to be. Once again, North Carolina, they have these heavy Democrat districts that Donald Trump does okay. Over 3 points, 3.5, more than 3.5 points. And then Gary Johnson's votes, I'd say it's safer of the toss-ups for Republicans. So you look at Florida and you see that Trump finished more than 1 point ahead. If Gary Johnson didn't run, if Donald Trump pulled his points, he could potentially have won over 50% of the state. He did very well, and they were talking, a lot of news networks were talking about how he changed the map because the people that won the state had to have won Hillsborough in the past. That's just not true anymore. As you can see, he didn't win it, and he still ended up getting enough votes to pull the state. So states like Florida, PA, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota I'm going to leave as toss-up states because they're really close, and I don't want to influence things one way or another, not only for you, but in my mind, I see these states being toss-ups all the time. I can't imagine anyone saying 100% definitively Florida's going to Trump, Florida's going to the Democrats. These states were all so very close. What you see right here, PA, less than a point victory. Michigan, 0.3 points, but once again, Gary Johnson was there. Maybe it took a few votes from him. Wisconsin. Once again, Gary Johnson taking a couple of points. And Minnesota ended up being 1.5 points for Hillary, but not only did Gary Johnson do very well, but Evan McMullin did too. So going forward, is it safe Democrat? I wouldn't say it is. It obviously leans towards the Democrats, but it'd be a pretty good race in this state. So I'll talk about the pollsters a little bit. They haven't done their job very well in the past. Obviously, in 2016, that was very, very obvious. The problem that I have with pollsters is that they're not being very honest and truthful about how they're polling. They're not being very realistic. After the 2016 election, I thought it would change how pollsters did their work, how news networks would go about reporting, because I thought that it would become clear to them that people don't like to be called racist, people don't like to be called homophobic, people don't like to be called xenophobic. And those people who are Trump supporters were absolutely mocked. They were called all those things. They were hated. People were afraid to come out as Trump supporters. And that was very evident with what happened in many states. A lot of states, they had it being a potential Democrat victory, and then you saw Donald Trump sweep the states. So I was watching Cenk Uygur, who I don't really like that much, but he said we need to be more honest in our reporting. Even if the truth is inconvenient, we still have to look for it, we still have to find it, and we still have to report it how it is. And then that didn't, I thought it would change something, it didn't change anything. They still report the same, they still poll the same, nothing's changed. And you can see this in the first polling that they had. Donald Trump lost to every single Democrat candidate. That is just so asinine, and it doesn't make any sense. And it just shows you that they're not very truthful. I mean, if they had half of the Democratic candidates beating Trump, that'd make a little bit more sense. They had every single one. That just doesn't make any sense. And it honestly galvanizes more Trump supporters and more Republicans to vote for, or to go out and vote, because they think, oh, if it's going to be a close race, then I have to go out. I believe they use it as a way to deter people from going out and voting, because they want voters to think, oh, we're going to lose anyway, so it's not worth going out. But I just don't see it happening. I don't even know 3/4 of the candidates running. 3/4 of the candidates I've never even heard of. And they have that, some of them beating Trump by 5 points. It just doesn't make sense. So that's why I believe that the pollsters aren't doing their job well, and they're not being truthful. And going forward, it will impact the presidential election. So I'd like to thank 270towin.com for providing this map, and also NewYorkTimes.com for providing this map. They're both very helpful. They give some pretty good information. This obviously uses a template. I'll be using them in the next few videos. But this is my first video, so please leave any questions, comments, concerns. If I said something you don't agree with, please let me know. I like the dialogue. And so please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.